Hi, welcome to Ethereal Aeons. Today, I want to share with you my current process through maneuvering in the reality in the United States, maneuvering around the AI and maneuvering around the black portals and the surveillance and the control systems and all of that. Because I am in the United States right now, I have been back for a minute, and I do notice such a difference here versus where I was in Central America in a very remote area, secluded from technology. I just got cell service on my phone after over 4 years. So I was not very dependent on technology. And now that I'm back and more clients, more digital work, all of this stuff, it's definitely something you have to prioritize how you maneuver around it. So I want to share this article with you. I hope you enjoy. Let me go ahead and just pull up my account and share the screen with you guys. Okay, so here we are on Substack. I'm really enjoying Substack. Very, very, very much. So here is my profile. If you haven't been on, I just changed the color. It's a little mustardy. But, okay, so here is the article. I just also uploaded a video on my Kali Oracle reading. I got Bhairavi Yogini. This is for if you're a devoted practitioner of your Sādhana practice, this Oracle reading could be for you. Okay, but we're talking about AI a little bit. Not going into detail. We're talking about how to maneuver. This is called The Revolution of Consciousness Will Not Be Televised. How distorted power awakens the dharmic warrior. For some of us, the more artificial the world becomes, the more intensely we are drawn toward ancient wisdom. As destruction spreads, ignorance is rewarded, and superficial people accumulate millions upon millions of followers. The scriptures begin to hold even greater meaning. They become a form of protection, standing between our consciousness and the network attempting to consume it. They aid in resisting the brainwashing, expose egocentric desires, and preserve our human essence before the digital world can consume it. Wealth does not provide wisdom, and influence does not provide spiritual power. The shallow are crowned and adored because they do not threaten the machinery producing them. They say the revolution will not be televised. Of course it will not. The revolution of consciousness will not be validated by the same machinery it is resisting. It is taking place in unseen rooms, before home altars, through disciplined practice, in the minds that refuse to become programmed and assimilated. May it bring you comfort to know that the sadhakas and sadhikas are here. Like you, we are studying, practicing, remembering, and holding the light. The algorithm may never show you how many of us exist, but we are here. And I love this picture here. I hope my face isn't in the way. There we go. This is me. I don't know if this is you, but this is me and many of us. And the network is so strong. We have so many 5G towers over here. So while I used AI to create this image, AI didn't use me. You see, this isn't about not having a phone or not having internet, not having access to Google or to chat or to certain websites that create images for you. It's about not being assimilated or becoming subservient to the technology. I don't know. I made the video about my experience being back and phones in particular, and then I ended up writing this article, and so now I'm sharing this. But basically, in the video I made, I was talking about how our phones, oh my gosh, this is actually crazy, and I should have mentioned it in this article, but let me make sure I'm recording. I am. Basically, the gist of it was how our phone notifications, you notice how there's that bell, ding, it all of a sudden, I had this download of Pavlov's dog experiment, that whole experiment with Pavlov's dog on how dogs were trained to salivate on cue by the sound of a bell in anticipation of receiving food. So basically, every time this dog was served a meal, this bell would ring. And he would wait. He would, after time, was conditioned to expect this meal. And so when he heard the bell, whether the meal was coming or not, the dogs would salivate. And so now when we hear our notifications going off, we are the same way. We reach for that phone immediately. We obey the phone. So then my notification went off and it was already past 9. So if it was something work related, bye, you can wait till tomorrow. You have to learn how to draw those lines. And so I figured, wait, why am I so eager to jump up and grab the phone, stop what I'm doing to check that notification? And I caught myself. So it's really about catching yourself in the act of being subservient to your phone and to stop obeying your phone. It's controlling you, whether it's a notification or not. And I think it's funny too, how on YouTube, it's like, hit that bell, ding, So there's something going on here with the bell and the notifications and the whole symbology behind that. So I was talking about how also that same night, I started the practice of putting my phone to sleep. My phone was not going to put me to sleep. So many of us have to lull ourselves to sleep with digital stimulation so that we don't think, so that we don't feel, so that we don't process, so that we can numb out. And so your phone is now this thing that's taken over your ability to process and to be human. Because anytime you feel something uncomfortable, you reach for the phone. Anytime you have an opportunity to have human interaction, you reach for the phone instead. Every time there's a pause in between a sentence with you and someone else, then you reach for the phone. So it's this crazy addiction that's happening. A mass brainwashing has already occurred. So catch yourself more often and then draw boundaries. And the example I gave about putting your phone to sleep, it's so funny. I have this little mini wooden tray table and I put it down in the corner of my room. And now that's where I put my phone. I'm like, that's your bed. I'm going to do my rituals. I'm going to do my practices now. Good night. You're going to bed. And you are going to notice that there will be some withdrawal symptoms, but they're not that serious. You see, it's like a baby who gets their pacifier taken away and they're going to fuss. They're going to cry. They're going to throw tantrums. All they're going to want is that pacifier. Notice how similar this is. It's our passy now. So draw those boundaries with yourself. And yeah, side note, that was just a little side note on phones. But definitely being around this matrix system here, like seeing all of these networks appear on the top of this image, it's just so crazy. These networks are constantly watching you and able to see you through Wi-Fi routers and all of this. But the more in the trenches you are, like in the city, the greater those eyes are. But we have our own protective mechanism as well. So let's continue. The scriptures are not artifacts of the past. The further humanity moves away from what is natural and divine, the more necessary they become. They are weapons of remembrance in a world determined to make us forget. Wield them in favor of Dharma. Ancient wisdom will not call to everyone. It calls to those who can still feel the distortion beneath what is being marketed as progress, convenience, influence, and power. It calls to those who will not allow the digital agenda to colonize their consciousness or sever them from the living intelligence of the earth, the body, the soul, and the divine. The Hindu scriptures make something unmistakably clear. Power is not proof of purity. Even an asura can perform tapas, prayer to a devata, receive a boon, and acquire extraordinary power. The austerity and discipline may be real and the power ripple outward. So tapas is, for example, we have this demon here, this asura, and he was performing his tapas. He was out there in the cold for years and years, standing on one leg until Brahman came in and said, wow, we have received your tapasya. We have received your tapas. We have received your message. We have seen your devotion. You are now qualified to receive a boon. And so he said, I want to be indestructible. I can't be killed. I can't be killed inside my home. I can't be killed outside of my home. I will never die. I can't be killed by a man, by a woman. So he goes on and on, like really when we try to manifest and we use the right words, he went on and on like that. And well, Brahma didn't really have a choice. So if your devotion is strong enough, it can grant you power. And so that's what we're seeing right now. Let's continue with this, actually. This is why a dharma can... Oh, 1 second. 1 second. My Bhagavad Gita just fell over. That was quite interesting. Okay, that was very interesting. Okay. This is why a dharma can rise for a time. A dharma is without dharma. It's not from a dharmic scope. It can construct empires, control systems, pollute the earth, manufacture consent, and make itself appear invincible. But do not confuse expansion with victory. Do not mistake popularity for righteousness. A dharma always carries the seed of its own destruction. Just look at Hiranyakshipu, image above. The boon that made him believe he had outsmarted death ended up creating the exact conditions through which Narasimha destroyed him. Narasimha is Vishnu's form, where he's half lion, half man. Like the creation of a mad scientist, distorted power eventually turns against its maker and consumes the very foundation that gave it life. I often get that visual of the mad scientists when it comes to these networks. That is exactly what they are. It may rise spectacularly. We might be in awe, but it cannot sustain itself because it's severed from the source of life. When a dharma rises, restoration is already set in motion. Just like when pain has arisen, healing is already set in motion as well. The Devatas feel the distortion on earth too. So the gods. They hear the call. They feel the shift and begin working immediately behind the scenes. We are part of that response. We are their dharmic warriors here on earth. This does not look like great battles unfolding in the sky. Most people will never even realize it is happening. This war is silent, and once again, it will not be televised. I saw this image. I will share it here in Costa Rica at a restaurant. The revolution will not be televised, and it's stuck with me since. But now we're talking about the revolution of consciousness. That is a part of the gaslighting. The system wants you to believe that nothing is happening, nobody is fighting back, and your efforts make no difference. However, once you connect inward, there is no fooling you. You can feel the shift every time you choose truth over programming, devotion over distraction, or remembrance over assimilation. Your effort matters. Your sadhana matters. Your spiritual practice, your spiritual discipline. Your sadhana matters. You are holding the light exactly where it is needed. We emerge as the outcast, the unconventional ones, and the people whose lives do not resemble the lives they were told to desire. It comes through those who could not assimilate because something in their consciousness refused to surrender. This exclusion is not necessarily rejection. It is evidence that your journey was fundamentally incompatible with distortion. Some of us feel as though we are not yet where we belong or surrounded by the communities we dream of. It can feel like delay, misplacement, or exile. It can feel like being left outside of the life we were meant for. Something I've had the visualization of, and even with even the channel here, to be honest, is sometimes it feels like you set everything up for a party. Like you got everything ready. You got, whatever it is you're presenting, you got it ready. You have this passion for it. You're excited. And then it's like nobody shows up. Understand that this type of service that you give without expecting anything in return does not go without being rewarded somehow. It is recognized. Every action, whether it is a positive one or negative one, is recognized. The love you give to others that maybe you did not receive back in life does not go unwasted. It reflects elsewhere. This is what we must trust. This is what we must stand in to give us true power and connection to being our highest selves of the highest version. So this is why I really want to stress this part, because if you feel like, yeah, I'm not where I'm at, I don't want to be here, or I'm not surrounded by the right people, what your logical mind interprets as being somewhere you do not belong is actually a divinely curated placement of purpose. You are carrying a light that is already needed exactly where you stand. Boom. I got that message a couple days ago. It hit in such a great way. It basically said, oh, you think you're supposed to be here doing that? No. You're needed right here, right now, already. You are the light. This is where you're needed. Doesn't mean it's permanent. Doesn't mean that it's the only place you're needed. But exactly right here, right now is not a coincidence. It's not because something didn't go right in your life. It is because this is where you have been divinely placed. Move toward the life your heart recognizes. So yeah, if you do have some dreams, some aspiration, move towards that, but do not postpone your dharma until you arrive. There is no waiting room for purpose. Live as though your consciousness has not been colonized. We do not have to belong to their world to serve this one. I hope that makes sense too. But we cannot afford to dim ourselves while waiting for better circumstances. Rise as far as you can toward the life your heart knows is yours. Speak, teach, build, and protect what remains human. Om Dhum Durgaye Namaha. Leslie DeMai. So this article is really here to remind you, is really here to get you out of any funk you might be in, is here as a confirmation. This is, to me, where I stand at this time in terms of this reality here with all of this egocentric absorption. And yeah, I'll share more with you guys about my opinions and my observations that I have since being in the US. A little backstory here. I've been out of the US for over 4 years, living remotely where, I wouldn't see people for days. I did not have technology. I would go, at one point I went 2 weeks with no internet, so basically going from living on the earth, being a steward of the earth, which was amazing and fantastic, but life takes you to other places too. So being back now, I have a lot to share on my perspective. That will come with time, but thank you for being here. Let me know if this article was something that, you felt drawn to and you can relate to. I know there's lots of us out here. Don't feel like there aren't any real organic humans still. We are still here. But now this is why it's more important than ever than to stick to that ancient wisdom that's within us still. Stick to what talks about the infinite nature of reality, not the latest trend. All right. So please please share, all that good stuff. Thank you for being here. Follow me on Substack to read more of my articles, watch more of my videos. I post on there more often than I do on here. But either way, I'm so grateful to you guys, and I will see you in the next one.